with our mighty team. Heroes we've become, living out the dream. Roll the dice, feel the thrill, monsters we will overthrow. Questing with friends in the RPG.
Tabletop role-playing game news for the week. It's Monday. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. It's the 23rd day of September, 2024. It is cold and gloomy here at Site B, and it is I, often imitated but never duplicated, the OG GM, bringing you the brand new tabletop role-playing game community news. Let's take out our sextant, open up our charts, and plot our course through the tumultuous waves of the latest nonsense that is our beloved hobby. And what's this I see before me? Daggerheart. Daggerheart, 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 Daggerheart. Daggerheart, come and we want this to be done. Come, Mr. Mercer Man, admit it's scripted. Daggerheart, come and me want this to be done. It's been a while since I've got a chance to sing the song, and I think some of you actually missed it. The pre-orders are now open for the potential tabletop role-playing game explosion that is Daggerheart, or a much ado about nothing that is Daggerheart. I guess the play tests are gone, the alpha test is done, the beta test is done, and Mercer and company feel it is ready to hit the street because you can now pre-order a game that won't be available until mid-2025 at best. We still know very little about the world of Daggerheart. We know a lot about the system. We still know very little about the plans of how Daggerheart is going to incorporate with the media empire that is Critical Role. Will Campaign 4 be set using the Daggerheart system? Hashtag it fucking should be. It would be stupid not to. Or it's just going to be a second campaign run using Daggerheart while the original campaign maintains its footholds in the D&D universe. The fate of Daggerheart, as always, as we've been saying since day one, lies solely on the shoulders of the critters. It will succeed or fail based upon that, not based upon its own merits or how good or bad it is or how revolutionary the system is. Hashtag it's not. But the Critical Role fan base. Will they embrace Daggerheart and scoop it up to the multi-million-dollar media it could be, like the Sanderson thing just happened? Or have we already reached the saturation point where nobody cares? It really doesn't feel like, in regards to the show, Daggerheart's being pushed as much as it should be. We've seen some Daggerheart-centric one-shots. We know there's a podcast using Daggerheart, but other than that, we really don't know. Now, hypothetically, Campaign 4 should be using the Daggerheart system with the main players, but who knows? Anyways, you can pre-order it now. Link down below if you still have any interest in Daggerheart. What else is going on in the tabletop role-playing game? Is Wizards of the Coast done anything stupid this week? Well, no. Actually, they've had a pretty quiet week because mostly we have been focused on the Genie D thing. The No AI pledge from Kobold Press, and the continuing controversy argument over David Wesley's Bronstein. It's David Wesley. His name is David Wesley, not Wesley. Okay, Wesley is his last name. David is his first name. It's David Wesley who wrote the Bronstein original rules that became Blackmoor, that became Dungeons and Dragons. Mind you, the Bronstein original worlds were not unique creation to the brain of David Wesley, as they were heavily influenced by a pre-existing game called Strategos, which dates all the way back to the Napoleonic era, which is based upon another game that can trace its origins back to the 11th century. So, yeah. And that continuing is going on, the battle between Griff and our good friend Harmony Ginger and the many old men who are now turning against Harmony Ginger and the Bro SR. What a surprise! What a sock that the old men are now turning against Harmony Ginger. How dare a girl be more successful in the hobby than I have? How dare a girl do more for a tabletop role-playing game, specific style, in 6 months than I've done in 50 years. I'm going to have to tell everybody, like, blah, blah, you can't do that, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to shake my fingers. You never got the permission to use blah, 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 blah. If you don't use it exactly the way David used it, you're blah, 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 blah. Sure, fuck you, OSR, fuck you, BroSR, fuck you, Griff, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, Harmony's right. You're wrong. This is one of the few times I also agree with the BroSR. Yeah, you can't copyright an idea. You can't claim ownership to the idea because David Wesley doesn't own it. The name is a public domain name. That's because it's a place name. The system is based upon a game that's been floating around for a couple hundred years. The play style dates back to the, I don't know, dawn of the idea of dramatic play, dawn of the idea of one character moving about in a larger meta event and how that one character's actions shape the meta event. I don't know. That sounds like storytelling 101, like, you know, Greek plays. Oh, but apparently Griff Morgan says blah, blah, blah. Anyways, yeah, it's just a bunch of old men who are angry at a girl for being more successful than they've ever been. Blah. Wendy Penny has announced that she's re-releasing, finally, after 40 some odd years, new ElfQuest, a remake of the original ElfQuest system, and some new love for ElfQuest. That's nice to see ElfQuest come back. This is finally out, and we've got our first review of it, and it says, basically, the Cowboy Bebop role-playing game review says it takes a while to get up to it, but once you get up to figuring out it does work. You can find the review here on EN World and some other reviews. Cowboy Bebop, the original anime, came out when? Yeah, so it's like, what, 20 years old now? I mean, you know, any chance to see people cosplaying as Ed or, you know, Faye, for those of you who are into that. But is it too late? Space, Western, cyberpunk role-playing. Is it too late? I don't know. It feels like it's too late. Kobold Press made a no AI pledge. We talked about that last week, whether we can trust them to maintain it or not. We do know that several of the other companies, including Wizards of the Coast, have taken the no AI pledge, but then turned it on their head and said, yeah, actually, we're going to use AI. We had a lot of videos about people talking about the scandal of Chris Cox admitting that Wizards of the Coast had been using AI and was going to continue to use AI going forward. Chris Cox saying he plays D&D with an average of 40 to 80 people each week, and they're all using AI. So Wizards of the Coast needs to embrace it because so many people are using AI. I don't even know what that means, but okay. How are they using AI? Because they're using D&D Beyond? Because you're playing on a VTT? Really? You have 40 to 80 people that you play with every week, Chris Cox? Nobody in the world has that many consistent players every week. How many games would you have to be in to have 40 to 80 players every week? I mean, even, you know, bare minimum 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. You'd have to be in 8 games a week, each game having 5 people in it for at least an hour, and everybody using the cell phone and the AI to embrace the future of their game. What AI are they using, Chris? Do you mean because we're all playing on Roll20 that we're using the AI to embrace and make the hobby better and more fun? Because Roll20 is not an AI. Did you mean, well, I know 40 to 80 people who use D&D Beyond. So that's 40 to 80 people who are using AI to make the game better. D&D Beyond, not an AI. Do you mean, well, that's 40 to 80 people that use AI art every week? Or 40 to 80 DMs that are using AI like ChatGPT to write their adventures? What exactly does that mean? And why do you have to go through this outrageous song and dance to tell us something that we already knew you were going to do? I don't know. It's not Wednesday, so we're not really going to talk about it too much because we got to save that for Wednesday. We have the news, thanks to Don and Tom and Eric, of the closing of the Dungeon Hobby Shop and of the end of the TSR brand as we know it. Apparently, Justin Lanasa, at least for now, has given up on his legal battles with Wizards of the Coast, with the Gygax family, with Eric, with everybody and their dog, and has shut down anything related to TSR, which means the title name TSR in regards to role-playing now is technically the property of Wizards, I guess. Really, you need to watch Don and Tom talk about it on their video and then talk about it some more when Eric joins in to find out what the legality is and how much, if anything, goes to Wizards. I guess it all sort of spirals down to what is the fate of Giant Lands, what is the fate of Memorial Tomb, and most importantly, what is the fate of Star Frontiers? Does Wizards now own Star Frontiers? And what will be the plans, right? Because that's kind of how this all started, right? Giant Lands, Star Frontiers, and Memorial Tomb. Still waiting for that map. Whiz Kids was in the news big time last week with the re-released new looks for dragons. We had the black and red new look, and then the black and red new look also as bookends. Now the black dragon looks completely different to any black dragon we've seen before, with the addition of these weird horns and the face. I'm spitballing here. Why give him a skull-like face? But maybe it's supposed to represent the fact that his, over the years of breathing out acid, his face has taken on sort of this acid-washed look. I mean, obviously, a black dragon would be immune to his own breath weapon, you would think. But still, it would have some cosmetic effects year after year of breathing out, inhaling the acid. I mean, sure, he's not taking any actual damage from it, but he's still, the pigment. I'm getting very scientific here on a thing that doesn't exist, but that would be my guess. And then we've got a more classic looking red dragon with the addition of the horns. But I mean, and the frill lizard work. And for some reason, he's sticking his head out of a volcano because I guess, red dragons are immune to fire. So if I'm a red dragon, where am I going to live? Someplace that can destroy all my treasure. No, why would a red dragon live in a volcano? That would destroy all his treasure. Look at the stuff I've collected. Oh man, it got destroyed. Look at the stuff I just collected. Oh man, it got destroyed. Hey, I brought back. Oh man, maybe putting my house in lava was a mistake, guys. I don't know. And we've got the darkening again. The darkening maybe because the breath weapon fire is slowly starting to darken the pigment around the face. Why did Wizards change this? We've talked about this before, and when you think about it, it makes total sense. And it's one of those things where, okay, I agree why you do it. I just don't agree the way you went about it. But the why totally makes sense. And we've talked about that ad infinitum, so there's no reason to talk about it again. But we do get some cool looking dragons out of it, so no loss there. Speaking of dragons, Pathfinder Video Games is releasing The Dragon's Demand as a separate video game. This will not be connected to any of the other video games they've made in the Pathfinder universe. This will be a brand new video game based loosely around the Dragon's Demand storyline, I guess using more of the Pathfinder 2 rules than the Pathfinder 1 rules. It'll be available relatively soon. The Dragon's Demand is the adventure I am currently running for the D&D group I am in. I've mashed it together with, obviously, Slumbering Czar, which is my favorite D&D settings from Frog God Games. So it's taking place in the world of the Slumbering Czar. Plus, I've added dinosaurs. And, but yeah, I'm running the Dragon's Demand. So, because it's a really great adventure. And that seems to be it. We've got some new bundles. We've got some new news. The usual stuff, but nothing major this week. And yeah, it looks like this week's sailing, other than the chaos of the never changing Bronstein argument and who's choosing sides and what, and how people are using it to, you know, hype up their own image, including myself. We do have another rash of DMs coming out like we do every couple of weeks, claiming, you know, how they're the best, how they have more experience, how they can run rings around other DMs, how their game is the best, how their style is the best, how they've read the rules. I assume these are all people somehow piling on the let's shit on Jeannie D for admitting she hasn't read the DMG, which of course is not what she said. What she said was, I haven't read the DMG from cover to cover. But she's read the DMG. She's read the parts that are pertinent to the game she's been running at the time. So when something became pertinent to her world, she looked it up in the DMG. Otherwise, you know, when am I ever going to need this pie chart for the Outer Planes? Probably never. So, you know. But what am I going to need for the DMG? Well, what does everybody need for the DMG? The random tables and the magic items. This is one of the times where I'm on Jeannie D's side. And I think all the people that are going after her, I would say 90% of them probably haven't read the entire DMG. It's funny how all the people that are mostly going after her are the old school. Oh, how dare she say she hasn't read the entire D&D book of a game she plays that I don't play. And, you know, when you address them and go, really? Well, what's on page 33, chapter 4, paragraph 4 of the 3.5 DMG? They're like, hey, I've read it, but I can't remember it. I don't have photographic memory, but I totally have read it. No, you haven't. Nobody has. But okay. But the real problem with Jeannie was not her coming out and saying, hey, guys, I've never read the DMG from cover to cover. It was people saying, well, Jeannie D, you proclaimed to be a guru, a master DM of 5th edition. You have made your career on 5th edition. How dare you now come forward and say, oh, well, I never read the rules. I've made my entire career off this, but I've never actually read the entire rules. Because there's nobody else on the internet who have made their entire internet career over a game system, right? She's the only one. And we know that every week she comes out and says, I'm Jeannie D. I'm an expert. I'm the best. I wrote the game. I've got more experience than you. I'm better than you. I can run rings of you. I've got decades of it, you know. Right? Except, of course, that's not true. She's never said that. But this is one of those cases where people needed to be angry at Jeannie D to feel relevant. So on this one, this is one of the rare times where I agree with her. I don't think she did anything wrong. And I'm sure by saying that, I'm going to get a lot of trouble. But I know most of you think I'm an idiot anyways. So please feel free to make videos about how I'm wrong, because it's free press for me. That's 18 minutes of all the tabletop role-playing game news. If any of those stories stand out to you, let me know. Links to the Daggerheart playtest, pre-order, whatever, in the description down below. Really, the only reason I pointed it out was so we could sing the song again, because let's face it, we've all missed me singing the song, right? Daggerheart. No, I'm not going to buy it, but if the people from Critical Role want to send me a free copy, I'll happily review it. Sponsor me, Critical Role. I'll sell out, and I've probably consistently gave you more positive attention to Daggerheart than most other people did during the playtest, but yeah. That's all the tabletop role-playing game news. Thank you for taking your morning with me. Till next time, be safe out there. It looks like it's getting a bit wintry, which means we'll soon have rain and snow and sleet and hail, but more importantly, Halloween. See ya!